Hello, Geeky American Otaku here. Welcome to the next episode of 15-Minute Game Show Reviews. It's been a long time since I've done this, but I decided it's time I got back into making YouTube videos. Now, if you haven't noticed, my room looks kinda empty, but that is because I will be moving in less than 1 week to Meridian, Idaho. So this will probably be the last video I make before I move. Anyway, I decided to make this video because it discusses a game show that's actually going to be revived very soon. However, I'm going to be discussing the version of the show that I want to see in the new version. In fact, this video is not about one, but two variations of the same show, as they're both quite similar.
It's more than password, it's Password Plus. Our guest stars, Elizabeth Montgomery and Robert Foxworth. And here's the star of Password Plus, Alan Ludden.
Password's back. Password's back. It's Password Plus.
It's Password. It's Super Password. Our special guest this week from Days of Our Lives, Gloria Rory. And from Wheel of Fortune, Pat Sajak. And the star of Super Password, Bert Convey.
Sit down. Hi, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Hi, thank you so much, and welcome to Super Password. Yes, it is your old favorite password, but this time with some new and exciting twists, and I know you're going to like them a lot.
Yeah, you heard right. I played two intros back to back. Password Plus and Super Password were updated versions of the classic game show Password. Though there were subtle differences between the two shows, they both followed the same general gameplay as their predecessor, where two teams made up of both a celebrity and contestant attempted to guess a mystery word using only one-word clues. However, these shows gave away more money than the original Password. A lot more. And that's why I'm discussing these shows. If you haven't heard, NBC is planning a reboot of Password sometime soon, and it will be hosted by Jimmy Fallon, who has played the game with his guests on The Tonight Show. Coincidentally, both of these versions of Password aired on NBC. Password Plus debuted on January 8, 1979 and ran until March 26, 1982. The original host was the one and only Alan Ludden. Born in Wisconsin, Ludden was a World War II veteran who started in radio and later gained fame in television as the original host of the GE College Bowl. In 1961, he was chosen to host the original Password on CBS, which he did until 1967. In 1971, ABC brought back Password, and it ran on that network until 1975. Other game shows hosted by Ludden include Liars Club, Win with the Stars, Stumpers, and The Pilot for The Joker's Wild, which would ultimately be hosted by that show's creator, Jack Barry. Ludden won a Daytime Emmy for hosting Password in 1976, a year after it was canceled by ABC, and for 18 years was married to the one and only Betty White, who made many appearances on all versions of Password, as well as many other game shows. Ludden hosted Password Plus until April 1980 when he was diagnosed with stomach cancer. For 1 month, the show was pinch hosted by game show legend Bill Cullen, who at the time was hosting Chain Reaction for NBC. Ludden returned in May, but was forced to step down for good due to further health problems in October of 1980. Alan Ludden died on June 9, 1981 at the age of 63. By that time, Bill Cullen was now hosting Mark Goodson's new game show Blockbusters, which was also on NBC. So Tom Kennedy took over on Password Plus. Born James Nars in Louisville, Kentucky in 1927, Tom adopted his stage name to avoid confusion with his older brother, Jack Nars, who was also a seasoned radio and TV personality. Tom hosted many game shows over nearly 3 decades, with his biggest hits being You Don't Say, Split Second, and the 1970s version of Name That Tune. Other shows hosted by Tom include It's Your Bet, Break the Bank, To Say the Least, fan favorite Phew, which Fremantle really needs to buy so they could air on Buzzer, Body Language, a nighttime version of The Price is Right, and Wordplay. Tom also had acting cred and appeared in several TV shows, most notably in a 1986 episode of Hardcastle and McCormick, where he played a game show host / murderer. Tom retired from hosting in 1989, but made several TV appearances afterwards, including Game Show Week on Hollywood Squares in 2003. Tom passed away last October at the age of 93. 2 years after Password Plus ended, NBC brought the show back again as Super Password, running from September 24th, 1984 until March 24th, 1989. The host for the entirety of this version was Bert Convy. A native of St. Louis, Bert actually played 2 years for the Philadelphia Phillies minor league system before beginning his career in entertainment as a singer and actor. He was a featured performer in the Billy Barnes Review and Art Linkletter's House Party. He also appeared in several Broadway shows, including Fiddler on the Roof, The Impossible Years, and Cabaret. He also appeared on several TV shows, including an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents in 1961 called The Museum Piece. He even made several appearances in movies, most notably Semi-Tough and The Cannonball Run, which starred his longtime friend, Burt Reynolds. As for game shows, he was a panelist on many shows including What's My Line, To Tell the Truth, Match Game, and even Password. He even did a week of Password Plus in 1979. His hosting credits include the CBS celebrity gossip panel game Tattletales from 1974 to 78 and again from 1982 to 84, for which he won an Emmy in 1977. In 1987, he teamed up with Burt Reynolds and created the Pictionary-style game show Win, Lose, or Draw, hosting the syndicated version for 2 of its 3 years. The last show he hosted was the panel show Third Degree in the 1989-90 season. After Super Password ended, Burt hosted pilots for a reboot of Match Game, but when ABC picked up the show in the summer of 1990, he was unable to host as he had been diagnosed with a glioblastoma brain tumor. The job ultimately went to Ross Schaefer, and sadly, Burt died in July 1991, 8 days before what would have been his 58th birthday. The announcer for both shows was the one and only Gene Wood, although Rich Jeffries was the original announcer on Super Password until November 26, 1984. But Rich would substitute for Gene Wood, as he had done on Password Plus. Bob Hilton was also a sub-announcer on both shows. Anyway, the gameplay for both Password Plus and Super Password were similar. 2 teams competed, each consisting of a celebrity and a contestant, one of which was almost always the returning champion. The object of the game, as on the original Password, was for the clue-giving partner to get the receiving partner to guess a given word, the password. And of course, they were only allowed to use one-word clues. The giving partner on the first team offered a one-word clue, to which the receiving partner was allowed one guess. Teams alternated giving one-word clues until the password was guessed or until each side had given 2 clues. Illegal clues included using more than one word or a hyphenated word, using a word not found in the dictionary, using excessive physical movement or gestures, saying the password itself or any form of it, or simply taking too much time. Capitalized words, proper names, and foreign words were allowed, as were vocal inflections intended to lead the receiver to get to say the password. Also, clue givers were allowed to repeat a previous clue or guess from either team. Password Plus had 2 rules that were unique to that version as well. First, the clue givers in control were given the option to play the word themselves or to pass it to their opponent, like on the ABC version. But if they took too long to decide, as a penalty, their opponent got 2 chances to get their partner to say the word. This was later extended to any time a player failed to give a clue in time, but in both cases, the 2 clues had to be given separately. Also, beginning on April 29, 1979 until Plus's cancellation in 1982, direct opposites were no longer allowed, such as man for woman, out for in, loose for tight, and so on. Neither of these rules were used on Super Password. The new wrinkle in both Password Plus and Super Password was the password puzzle. Each password, once revealed, became one of 5 clues to a puzzle, the answer of which was always a person, place, or thing. The player who correctly guessed the password got 1 chance to guess the puzzle. If they were successful, the round ended, and the player won money for solving the puzzle, otherwise the game continued. If the password was not guessed by anybody, then a clue went up on the board, but no one got to guess it. If this was done on the 5th and final clue, the puzzle solution was revealed, the puzzle was thrown out, and they had to start over. If the clue giver gave away the password or the receiver guessed from an illegal clue, the word got put up on the board, but their opponents got a free guess. Now, for the final password in the puzzle, if the guesser was incorrect, their partner was given a guess as well. On Password Plus, if both teammates failed to guess correctly, the puzzle solution was revealed and a new puzzle was played. On Super Password, if one team failed to guess the puzzle after all 5 words were revealed, the opposing team's contestant and celebrity partner were each given one final chance to come up with the correct answer. Anyway, a correct guess by either team won money for its contestant, and any remaining passwords in the puzzle were revealed. Additional puzzles were played until one contestant had enough money to win the game. If the solution to the puzzle was inadvertently revealed in any way, shape, or form, the puzzle was thrown out. And this actually happened several times on Super Password, when Bert himself accidentally gave away the answers to the puzzle, which of course led to several bloopers. The goal to win the game changed over the years. On Password Plus, from its premiere until 1981, the first 2 puzzles were worth $100 apiece, and every puzzle afterward was worth $200. The goal to win was $300. For the show's final season, the goal was increased to $500, and the first 3 puzzles were now worth $100 apiece, and every puzzle afterward was worth $200. On Super Password, the goal was always $500. The first puzzle was worth $100, the second puzzle $200, and so on, with a maximum of 4 puzzles. Also, celebrities changed partners on Plus starting in 1981 after the 3rd puzzle, and on Super Password after the 2nd puzzle for its whole run. Also on Super Password, after the $200 puzzle was played, the winning team played a new bonus game called the Cash Word. The celebrity acted as the clue giver and was given a more difficult password. The contestant was given 3 chances to guess the cash word, and the clue giver had 5 seconds to give each clue. If the contestant guessed the password within those 3 clues, he or she won a jackpot that started at $1,000 and increased by that much each time it was not won. Now, this bonus round did not affect the scores. It was just bonus money. However, if any time an illegal clue was given, the cash word round ended immediately and the jackpot was forfeited. After a few weeks, the cash word game used a prop that Bert called the Magic Toaster, the slot of which held a check signed by Mark Goodson himself. The Magic Toaster was destroyed twice. The first one in 1986 accidentally by Bert himself, and again on the final episode in 1989 by Betty White, who showed a better throwing arm than most NFL quarterbacks. Anyway, the winning team played for a big cash prize in the bonus round. On Password Plus, it was called Alphabetics. And on Super Password, it was initially called the Super Password round, although for the most part, Bert called it the End Game. The gameplay was the same on both shows. The contestant had 60 seconds to guess 10 passwords arranged in alphabetical order. For example, the first password began with the letter A, then B, then C, and so on, with the last word beginning with the letter J. The celebrity always gave one-word clues, as in the main game. The celebrity could only see the current password until the contestant either guessed or passed on it, and they could come back to it if there was time left. He or she could use multiple words to form a sentence, but they had to pause distinctly after each one. Now, for the period on Password Plus, which opposites were forbidden, this was enforced in Alphabetics as well. Now, for each word the contestant got right, the contestant won $100. And if they got all 10 before time expired, they won the big money. On Password Plus, the grand prize was originally a flat $5,000. However, it was reduced by $1,000 for every illegal clue given, until it was only worth $1,000. Now, during the last season of Plus, Alphabetics was played for a jackpot that started at $5,000 and increased by that amount each time it went unclaimed until it reached a maximum of $50,000. Anyway, the penalty for illegal clues remained at 20% of the total at first. Then it changed to a flat $2,500 in late 1981 for each illegal clue, but reverted to 20% by the last week of the series. Super Password's bonus round was also played for the same progressive jackpot, but if an illegal clue was given, the word in play was thrown out and the contestant blew any chance at the jackpot, much like on the pyramid. But they still won $100 for every password they got right. And since NBC never had any winnings limits on any of their game shows, a lot of money was won here. The highest amount the jackpot got to on Super Password was $55,000, and it was won twice.
Yeah, once.
Now, champions retired after playing the bonus round 7 times on Password Plus or 5 times on Super Password. That's how Password Plus and Super Password were both played, and now we grade it. Anyway, there's not much to say about this. You know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Well, Password wasn't really a broken game at all. If anything, they just improved it and made it better. Password is a pretty simple game, but that's kind of a drawback to it. It's too simple. However, I like how on Password Plus and Super Password they made it so that the passwords were now clues to a puzzle. Because it's always fun to try and figure out what the solution was to those puzzles, especially considering if you didn't know it and just pulled something out of thin air, which caused a lot of laughs. Or in other cases, sometimes the contestants got the answer on the very first guess, which can fall into the crowning moment of awesome trope. And it was always fun to watch the bloopers caused by the celebrities and even hosts. Yes, Alan Ludden and Tom Kennedy made a few bloopers during their runs hosting Plus, but Bert Convy, of course, was the king of the screw-ups, but we'll forgive him for it. As for the bonus rounds, a lot of longtime Password players weren't big fans of the cash word round. Betty White herself said she hated it, which is probably why she trashed the Magic Toaster on the last episode. But it was still fun to watch the contestants win when they did, especially as the money grew. And in the end game, it was always exciting and could be nerve-wracking, because getting 10 passwords in 60 seconds is no easy feat. But when you're playing for life-changing amounts of cash, you would always expect it to have you on the edge of your seat. As for the hosts, Alan Ludden was always in his element. Password really was his show, and even with the changes, it was still his show. It was still Password at heart. Alan was the book-smart but genial host and always a pro. Bill Cullen, of course, is considered one of the greatest game show hosts of all time, and even though he wasn't the regular, he knew the game well enough, and he was able to be a good pinch hitter for Alan when he was out. And the same is true for Tom Kennedy. One way to compare him to Alan Ludden is to say he was like Steve Young when he succeeded Joe Montana. Tom knew Alan was the star of Password, and he didn't try to fill his shoes. Instead, he hosted the show the best way he knew how, by being himself. And by being hosted by a veteran, he managed to keep Password Plus going for 2 years after Alan was permanently sidelined. I think he made Alan proud. And finally, there was Bert Convy. I've seen a few YouTube comments that said that Bert may not have been the right choice for this show, considering how many times he gave away the answers. But to be fair, Alan and Tom gave away the answers a couple times. But with Bert, it was something of a running gag, and he was not afraid to make fun of himself when he did slip up. Despite that, Bert was still a great host in his own right. He was always nice to the contestants and to the guests, and he was genuinely having fun, which I think is good because it makes the contestants feel at home. That being said, the Password is awesome, and both Password Plus and Super Password both get solid A's. Now I'll talk about how I'd revive it. Well, we know it is coming back soon. We just have to hope they don't screw it up too much. But here's how I want NBC and Jimmy Fallon to bring the show back. Basically, I want it to be a revival of Super Password. And here's how we do it. The game would basically be the same as before, but would have a maximum of 4 puzzles. The first puzzle is worth $1,000, then $2,000 for the second, and so on. And the goal to win is $5,000. And the fourth puzzle, if needed, would be a speed round in which each clue is revealed one at a time, and the first player to buzz in with the correct answer won the game. The cash word would be played after the $2,000 puzzle and would always be worth $10,000, since there's probably not going to be any returning champions. The end game, of course, is still the same as before. However, each correct answer is now worth $1,000, and getting all 10 passwords in 60 seconds is worth $50,000. Now, in this case, it might be possible for the game to end early. So, in that case, there would be an extra round where a member of the audience would play the end game with the celebrity who didn't play. And in this audience game, each correct answer won $50 for that person, and getting all 10 in 60 seconds wins the audience member $1,000. Anyway, that's my most recent episode of 15-minute game show reviews, and my last ever from California. The next video I will be posting will be from my new home in Idaho. Until then, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm the Geeky American Otaku. And remember, vote for Pedro. Gosh, idiot. Ugh.
Deep Hurt.